Hello and welcome to the Beat Cancer Answer, brought to you by BeatCancer.Org, the Center for Advancement in Cancer Education. We believe that 90% of all cancers could be eliminated through environmental and lifestyle choices alone, and science agrees. Unfortunately, most people don't know it, so we provide the education that can help you prevent, cope with, and beat cancer through diet, lifestyle, and other immune-boosting approaches. On every podcast, we will feature an expert who can teach us how to become part of that 90% who could prevent getting diagnosed with cancer. If you already have cancer, we have empowering information for you too. Over the past 35 years, we have helped thousands of cancer patients get back into the driver's seat when it comes to their personal journey of healing cancer and preventing future reoccurrence.
On this episode, Debbie Nicholson interviews Suzy Griswold about her personal experience with fighting thyroid cancer and how that led her to begin healingstrong.org.
Today we have with us Suzy Griswold, the president and founder of Healing Strong. Her story begins in 2009 when she was diagnosed with thyroid cancer. When follow-up scans continued to show lymph node involvement, she became increasingly fearful as she had lost 11 family members to cancer. Each one had died after long, difficult treatments of surgery, chemotherapy, and radiation. Through much prayer and research, she connected the dots and unveiled powerful new truths about healing the body that led her to choose a radical diet and detoxification protocol inspired by Dr. Max Gerson and Anne Fram. What she discovered changed hers and her family's life. She now devotes her heart and life to helping people around the world discover the same truths through an organization she founded in 2013, Healing Strong. It's a cancer research organization whose mission is to educate, connect, and encourage those seeking comprehensive natural strategies to heal strong and stay strong through community group education. They are a 100% volunteer-based organization. All of their resources go directly to help educate those seeking a more natural alternative approach to help combat illness effectively. They have groups all over the United States to support anyone facing cancer on their healing journey so they can connect to others on the same journey and to connect to hope. You can find Healing Strong on the web at www.healingstrong.org and on Facebook. So welcome, Suzy. It's a pleasure to have you with us.
Hi, Debbie. It's so great to be with you guys. I love your organization, and you guys are pioneers in this area, so it's just a thrill for me to speak to you today.
Thank you. I guess we are like-minded.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. And your story is very interesting. We're really excited to find out more about you and your personal journey involving cancer. Do you want to tell us a little bit more?
Sure. Well, just a little background on me. I'm married 28 years to just an amazing, kind, beautiful man, Jeff. We have two wonderful sons, Ryan, who's 24, and Andrew, who is 16. I come from a pretty big family. There's 5 children. I was the only girl, so I grew up learning how to fend for myself for sure.
Oh, wow.
And I thought what I do is share with you my very first memory of cancer, because it really stuck, and my own journey came back as you know, you kind of reflect on just the route that you're on. But my very first memory of cancer is pretty amazing. I was 5 years old. I was going to spend the night with this friend that I had met in kindergarten, and it was late in the evening. I remember we had just finished watching, this is going to date me, we had just finished watching Tanya Tucker singing Delta Dawn on TV.
Okay.
She was a fellow Texan, 1972, and anyway, we were all excited because she was just like 13 and we were young too, and so she was the big thing there, and I was in this small Texas town, and so we just finished watching this, and we see the lights coming down the long driveway, and everybody in the house kind of stops, and we weren't sure. Well, then comes the knock at the door, and it was my mom. And she had come to get me early. Now, I hadn't even spent the night yet, right? And she told me that my cousin and her family had stopped into town. My cousin was my favorite cousin of all time, and that she was in town, and so she wanted me to come on home because they weren't going to be there long. And so, of course, that was going to get me out of the house to get in the car with Mom. And so I did, but when I got home, my cousin wasn't there. And I remember just being bewildered because my mom lied to me, right? This is what I'm thinking. What? And she said, Suzy, she sat me down and she told me, she said, Gloria's not here. She said, she's not coming. The reason that I brought you home was that my friend's father had been diagnosed with cancer, and he was fighting cancer. And I was like, what is cancer? And she said, well, it's very serious. We don't know how you get it. She said, so I just didn't feel right about you spending the night, and I wanted you to come on home. And so I was really upset and angry with her, still focused on Gloria not being there. But my mom, very protective, was always very protective with all of her kids, and just felt like this was the best thing to do, was not to allow me to be in a house where a man was, being treated for cancer. And that man ended up dying a few months later. And at the same time, my uncle was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer. And I remember I wasn't able to give him a hug. My parents kept us at the doorway. I remember my last memory of my Uncle Alfred was standing at his bedroom door, and he was very gaunt looking and laying in bed, and I just waved at him, and he kind of just waved back. But, and then we were off to play on to the next thing. But, it really left this impression for me, and that began to spiral. Years of various people in my family that were diagnosed with cancer. Over the next 30 years, like we said, a dozen or so almost family members have been diagnosed, and all but 2 had died. My dad, who is still alive, he had small intestine cancer, and his sister, my aunt, had breast cancer. But everyone else passed away. My mother died, cousins, grandparents, uncles, aunts. So cancer was just a really fearful thing for me. I mean, it was very, very fearful when you see it, and all of them did the traditional chemo, radiation, surgery, and we were all very close. These are people that we did life with. Only a couple of them did I only see a handful of times, but everyone else we did life together. And so it was very impactful, and needless to say, cancer made a very strong impression on me. And so when I was diagnosed in 2009, I was really petrified. And I'm at that time, just some educational background. I had gone to graduate school. My background is in public health. I actually was a research assistant for a large cancer foundation in Houston. And so, and I'm a researcher. That's what I do. So when I was diagnosed, while I was fearful, I wanted to do everything I knew to do, right? So, talking to the doctors, I was very well informed. And, of course, they could see the fear in my eyes, and all of them are like, Suzy, if you're going to get a cancer, thyroid cancer is the cancer to get. That's the one that responds best to treatment, and so you don't have to worry about it. So I did everything they said. I take it out, let's get it out. Let's schedule it. I actually was scheduled for a hysterectomy. I canceled that surgery and went in for a thyroidectomy. They took both of my thyroid glands out. It had spread to both sides. And so, of course, he scheduled me for the radiation, and I did everything I was supposed to do to make sure that, I could absorb the radiation very well. I followed the diet they told me. I didn't budge, and so after the radiation, when they did the follow-up scan, 3 of the lymph nodes lit up. Well, for me, I'm freaking out. I'm thinking this is in my lymph nodes, and the doctors, of course, are like, let's give it time. Let's let the radiation work. And so I went through Christmas very prayerful, because at that point, I'm thinking, just, having a history of my family, that this is very, very serious, and I wasn't going to wait. And so I immediately began seeing other doctors. Like I called, I got a new endocrinologist who said, well, we could, let's wait, let's give it a month, we'll do another scan, which they did. It showed up again in my lymph nodes. And at that time, he was like, here's some options for you, right? We could do a radical neck dissection. My general practitioner putting my mind at ease, we could just pluck your glands out one by one. If it comes up, we can just do that. These are things I was hearing in the doctor's office. And all along, very prayerful, did not have a peace about doing any of that. And somebody sent me a book. This is a lady I have great respect for. She's actually the CEO of the company that I work for. Sent me Suzanne Somers' book, Knockout. And
Yes.
I'm thinking, what can Suzanne Somers teach me about cancer, right? But I read the book because I respect this lady so much, and my eyes were opened. Oh my goodness. Here are all of these tests that you can do on chemosensitivity. There's nutrition and supplements that you can take. She just really began to open my eyes. And that was the very first book and information that ever, even in grad school, everything that I had read about holistic approach to healing. And it changed things. Do what?
You kind of had hope then that there was other avenues and other things that could be effective.
Absolutely. And I was open then to learning. There comes a point, I think, in our journeys that we have to be open to reading and learning. And so at that point, my mind was open and I began to really dive into the research. There were 5 kind of aha moments that really impacted me. I wanted to know, because I'm a researcher, and I wanted to know, okay, number one, if this is true, if what Suzanne Somers is teaching me and what I was learning about the Gerson therapy, if this is true, why don't doctors know about this, right?
Exactly.
And so I learned at that point that doctors get 1 nutrition class in medical school. I went back and looked at when did the historical shift from homeopathic medicine to allopathic medicine happen. That really impacted for me and made sense for me why in the world things changed so much. We learned about, I looked at actually the Otto Warburg won his Nobel Peace Prize for cancer. I wanted to know what did he write about and what was his research about. So I went and looked at that and looked at every single cancer metabolizes very different than healthy cells. That made sense to me. Okay,
yeah.
Well, if they metabolize through fermentation, right, which is sugar, then I should cut the sugar out of my diet. So what Gerson is saying, what Suzanne Somers and other people were saying was totally making sense. And then I wanted to know, okay, well, if this is true, are the statistics, let's look at the cancer statistics. If chemotherapy and radiation and surgery are the chosen methods for healing cancer, is it working? So I wanted to know. Let's look at the historical data. So I went back and I just looked at, 1904, I think it was like 1 in 24 Americans had cancer in his or her lifetime, 1904. In 1970, it was like 1 in 7 or 8. And now it's 1 in 2. So something's not adding up, right? So something's not adding up, right? So I looked at, okay, let's look at the mortality rate of cancer. And if you look at the mortality rate of people who've been diagnosed with cancer, there's only been a 5% drop in the death rate in cancer patients in 50 years. That was from the Journal of Clinical Cancer, and I think 2010 is when I got that data. And I'm like, wait a minute. If this is true, then what people are telling me that I need to do traditionally is certainly not something that's adding up, and I didn't have a peace about it, and so I just continued to dive in to nutrition and detoxing and supplementation. And I'll just tell you, Debbie, people thought I was nuts. Even my husband, who's just, if you ever met him, he's the kindest, most wonderful man, but he was like, Suzy, people are telling me I need to just wake you up, that you need to do what the doctors are telling you to do. And I'm like, but Jeff, and I would read him excerpts from books that I was, reading, or we'd sit down and we'd watch movies like, who was it? Lorraine Day. Someone sent me a video that Lorraine Day had made that was eye-opening. And, we watched the Gerson Miracle and the Brzezinski breakthrough, and Forks Over Knives, and Fat, Sick, and Nearly Dead, and all of these videos that came out over the last 7 or 8 years. We just poured into research and continued to feed our minds the power of this beautiful good news that I was learning about with cancer. And as a result, fast forward, I did the Gerson therapy for 18 months. Everything healed. My fibroids, which was the reason I was going for a hysterectomy, they healed. My triglycerides, this, Debbie, everything. When you heal from the inside out. And so it was a radical.
Healed.
Yes.
It's really interesting because this information you had to go search for, and you came from this place of fear because you saw that the mainstream cures that they were proposing didn't work for your family members and didn't seem to be working for you. And then you go search for things and you realize you have to go kind of underground, and then you're right. People think you're crazy because you're not going along with the mainstream.
Right.
And then you start to realize that the system's just not set up in our favor.
Yeah, it's really not. But you know what? Proof is in the pudding. And so I think that people see now, those that were, naysayers and those that questioned, they were the ones coming back around when their family members were being diagnosed, or they were getting a diagnosis of some sort of illness, and they were coming around and asking questions. And so and we have since implemented these strategies with our children. Our youngest, our oldest is, he makes his own mind up. He's a college student, and but he has the information, and he knows he has done the natural strategies to support himself. But our youngest, the 16-year-old, we actually homeschooled him for 2 years. He has Addison's disease. Both of our children do. Oh. And we took him out of school. We cut down the stress. We put him on a plant-based diet. We juiced for him. He does smoothies every day. And he's reduced his hydrocortisone and fludrocortisone by 300%. He takes
incredible.
1/5 of what he used to take. And so, anyway, it's just changed our life, and it's changed our lifestyle, and we continue to learn. Nobody, we don't feel like you and I were saying before we started our call today, it's like an onion, and you learn a little bit more, and you implement that, and you learn more, and it's just been the greatest part of my life is being diagnosed with cancer, learning what I've learned, and implementing this into our own family, and then sharing it with people. That's why we started Healing Strong, was just out of the overflow of the abundance of gratefulness in my heart for what God has done in my life. That's why we started the organization Healing Strong, and hope to help other people have the same hope that I had and that I needed.
Yeah, that is great. You feel like you hit great information, and you want to share that with other people, those resources. So right. I see why you wanted to do that, and it's so nice that then community groups started multiplying across the United States, correct?
Right. Well, we started, we started with just the conference that we did in 2013, okay. And we brought lots of people together, people that had influenced me and impacted me. We didn't have an organization at that time. We just had a website, because I would get a lot of calls from friends and family saying, will you talk to my family member? Can you tell them what you know? And so we developed our very first website, the Healing Strong website, just to share information. But we wanted to do more. And so we brought together, it was the first time ever that Ty Bollinger and Chris Wark and Dr. Veronique Desagnier and Judy Seeger and Sherry and Father John Calbone, it was the first time that they had ever, Robert Scott Bell, they'd ever been on the same stage before. That's and incredible. They knew what we were doing. They knew we had no money to pay them. We just wanted to bring together our favorites and to share with people the hope that we had learned, and also to rub elbows with other people that had walked this route to healing. Because when you have cancer and you choose to go against the medical paradigm and, what people are recommending that you do, you need that support. And so we wanted to connect with other people. It was engaging and, motivating for us. We had 3 days. We made it a retreat. We actually scholarshiped almost half the people that were there, and just had the time of our lives, all of us. And afterwards, our team, just an amazing Healing Strong team of people, sat around going, what's next? And we got a call from several of the women that had attended our conference. They lived just around the corner from us. We didn't know that we were so close. And Christine Holcomb is her name. She calls me and she says, Suzy, that was life-changing. We want to continue to meet. We're going to start our own little group here in Gainesville, and we'd like you to be a part of it. Can you help? And so we met, and Dr. V was a part of that. There was 4 or 5 ladies that got together, and the very first meeting was a month and a half after the conference, was the very first Healing Strong group meeting, and Dr. V was our first speaker. She was going to present the 7 Essentials before her book was out and before, people really knew who she was, and now she's just impacting people all around the world. But she was our very first speaker. And we kept meeting, and I would get calls from people. At this time, we were a nonprofit. We decided that was the best approach for us. We really wanted to offer community organization, and so we would get calls, and people from the conference were calling saying, I need more of that. Can you please? Is there something that we can do? Can you do another conference? Can you, and we just, through the experience and the prayer that we just put out for this group in Gainesville, we just decided we want to multiply that, because there's power in getting together, there's power in numbers, and there's power in community. And so we spent the next year and a half, 2 years writing a curriculum, and we tested it with 20 groups. That was our test group last year. And today we have over 70 groups, and they're in, I think, 24 different countries and 4 different continents. And
That's
people,
amazing.
what we're finding, people just, they want to connect. There's a ton of information on the internet. They can sit there all day long and read. But when you meet with people that did Gerson or Budwig or Henderson, or, you meet with people that are actually healing this way and really need that community and support, wow, it's just life-changing. So that's what our groups are about.
Yeah, I'm sure that energy when you're together, that is more of a healing, really powerful energy when you connect. Mm-hmm. I can really see that, because I think when you're isolated in fear, sitting by yourself, gathering information, I agree, it's not the same.
Right. And we're very intentional. Our groups, Debbie, it's not just about sitting around and saying, okay, I have thyroid cancer and I'm doing the Gerson protocol. That's not what this is about. It's about really empowering and connecting people and educating them on these natural strategies and why they work. So we care to give evidence-based information. All of our group meetings have a lesson in them that revolve around diet or detox or emotional healing. We do an activity that helps them to connect with the other participants. And then we launch them with affirmations and prayers based on God's Word. And it's just, people leave. If I can tell you one story of a lady that came into our Houston group, do we have enough time? Can I share this story with you?
Yes, absolutely.
So this is the epitome of people that come in that have no idea what Healing Strong's about. They've been diagnosed with cancer, or other diseases, or they just want to prevent disease. People come into our groups on all different levels of health and scales of health or disease. And this one woman comes in, she's using a cane, she's bent over, she's a very forlorn look on her face, and she's just very cautious. Mary said, our Houston group leader said, she knew she was new, she had never seen her before, and she comes into the group, and Mary gets it going. She plays the disclaimer, they open in prayer, they play the disclaimer, they do the engage activity, and they have their lesson. And afterwards is a time where people usually stick around for up to an hour or 2 hours. I know our Gainesville group, sometimes it'll be almost 2 hours after the meeting that people are, standing around wanting to talk. And Mary goes over to the lady, and she just hugs her and says, thank you. Thank you. This is exactly what I needed. She said, I came here not knowing what to think. And she said, I found my tribe. And she said, she walked out of there without her cane. We're talking just 2 hours worth of being in a meeting with other people that are talking principles to live by, and giving each other hope and encouragement. And, it just, those are the kinds of stories that we get just from so many different people that come into our meetings just really looking for help.
Yeah, it just goes to show you that emotional component of cancer, when you have people that are there to support you and you feel connected and hopeful, it changes everything.
It really does. It does.
That's really wonderful. So
it gives them what they
meetings,
need to continue on.
Yeah, yeah. Who leads the meetings? What are the leaders? Can you tell us some more about who's leading the groups?
Yeah, we have all different. Now we have an application on our website that anyone can lead a group. Anyone can lead a group. What we find is that anyone can lead a group that has experience with natural strategies. Let me preface that.
Okay.
We have cancer thrivers, we have caregivers, we have medical doctors, we have naturopaths, we have nutritionists. We have people that just have been doing this for years and are, tired of just what they're hearing in their doctor's offices, and people continue to come to them for education. And so now they have a platform and they have the actual process that they can use, and that's a Healing Strong group. So it's just a wide variety of people. It is truly just a cool group of leaders.
I'm sure. Yeah, that sounds great. So I'm sure they all have different things to bring to the group.
They do, and they're all, they're sharing the principles of natural strategies. They know we don't sell anything in our group meetings. We forbid that.
Okay.
We want our groups to be a place where people can come and it be safe and they learn and not feel pressured to buy maybe a supplement or a machine that maybe even the group leader sells. And the group leaders know this. The beauty of Healing Strong is that we're all about networking and really providing a platform for people to share their knowledge and their own personal experience and encourage people. So while they may have that knowledge of supplements and machines and they may share it in their own personal stories, we absolutely don't allow them to push it in the meetings for that one purpose, that we want our meetings to be a safe place to come and learn and not be pressured.
That sounds very important.
Mm-hmm.
Are the groups just for cancer patients, or do family members come, or support members?
Yeah. Oh, all of them. It's not just for cancer patients. While we started, my team started, most of us had been impacted by cancer either as a caregiver or a patient. We don't, our groups are not just for cancer patients. So people come in who are yoga instructors or, they're nutritionists, and they too want to share what they've learned. And so they come to these meetings with a great information exchange. Or we have those that have been sick. We have those that come to our meetings that have just finished their chemo and radiation, or those who are in the middle of taking chemo and radiation, or maybe there are those that are choosing to heal naturally. We don't tell them what to do. We just offer the information that we offer is information that's going to support building their immune system through nutrition and detoxification, and like I said, supplementation and spiritual support as well, which to us is so important.
Absolutely. So how do you deal? I'm sure people come and they want faith and hope, and they're connecting, but they're coming from different faiths and backgrounds. How do you deal with that in your groups?
Yeah, we have that. We have people that come of all different faiths and backgrounds into our groups. We pray at the beginning of each of our meetings. That's important to us. And we also offer up, if someone wants to receive prayer, that's something that some of our group leaders are reporting back that it's been very powerful. But we even offer affirmations and prayer cards to all of the people, but they don't have to take it. It's just who we are. And so people just know when they come, this is who Healing Strong is. And they know what we're going to present. They don't have to take it, but they're going to get great information, and they're going to hear and be encouraged by the participants and the leaders there. Our heart is not to alienate or isolate anyone. Our heart is to embrace people right where they are. And what we're sharing is that which impacted us.
Right. And I'm sure they're finding new spirituality and things that they really weren't connected to before.
What do you mean?
Well, I would just think you're going through your life, you've never been sick, and then all of a sudden you see life in a different way, and you're looking for a different, something deeper, more connection, that spirituality.
Oh, I agree. I know that, there is nothing like a chronic illness or disease or some kind of an event, a life-altering event, to make you question your mortality and where you're going if you were going to, if you weren't going to beat this, what is life after death? And there is nothing like cancer that brings people to their knees.
Right. It changes everything.
It does. And the interesting thing, Debbie, and this, the emotional aspect of healing, the mental aspect that we bring into disease, the things that we think on, the bitterness or unforgiveness that we've carried through our life to the very point that we have disease. All of that is addressed, and we talk about the importance of taking our thoughts captive, making them obedient to God, who has provided us in the very word that he's given us. And we give these affirmations and prayer cards to people, and we tell them, when you leave here today, think on things that are going to help you to heal, not things that are, even though you may have things going on at home and in your life that are hard. We just encourage people to take a shift in how they think and how their emotions, because all of that matters. We can teach the diet and the detox. We can, talk supplements. We can talk all of that. But if people continue to wallow in their suffering and their pain and their, the things of their life that have brought them down, we're not going to make any headway. I've seen it way too often.
I think it's there's a missing part there, that emotional component. And I know a lot of people that they're staying isolated that have cancer because I think there's some shame and they don't know how to reach out. So that's why I thought it was so important to talk to you. So if someone was listening to this podcast today, why should they consider getting involved with Healing Strong? If we can help people to understand how important it is.
Well, I thank you for asking that question. I guess there's two different people that I would want to talk to. The first one is that person that has the information and they have the knowledge and they have the hope. They have their experience and they want to share it with others, and they don't know, they haven't known how to go about doing it. I would say go to our website, read about Healing Strong, watch our videos, and then if you're interested, go and fill out an application. We will reach out to you and get you equipped to start a group. And a group means, 2 or more people meeting together as a group. It doesn't mean that you have to have big, booming, thriving groups to meet. It means educating, one other person makes a group. And so, if someone's listening and they're that person that they've walked their own healing and they really want to share it with others, we would love to help you do that. We've done it ourselves and we know the power of education and really equipping people. So I'd say for that person, go on and fill that application out and consider leading your own Healing Strong group. And then the person that's listening that maybe has been, newly diagnosed with cancer, or maybe they've just finished their own treatment and they're wondering, what next? What can I do? You are not a sitting duck. You can help yourself by learning information, equipping and empowering yourself with just this beautiful, diet, detox, supplementation, and the spiritual component of healing. Go and learn and connect with other people that are learning how to live the abundant life. It's hard when you go through, I've seen it when you walk cancer out through chemo and radiation, and surgery, it's debilitating. And you think, is this going to be how my life is? Am I going to be tired like this all of the time? Is my digestive system not going to work well? Go and learn about the beautiful strategies that you can learn to really improve your health outcomes and connect with other people that really care to live that life to the fullest. And that's what the Healing Strong groups are about. We really want to connect people together with some really life-changing information that helps them to not only heal strong, right, but to stay strong.
That's a wonderful message. If somebody's new to the group, are there groups for new members, or do they do something as an introduction? How does that work when someone's maybe their first meeting?
Yeah, well, we count every meeting as if it's a brand new meeting. So
Okay.
we do they're kind of rules of engagement. We've created the structure for Healing Strong. So if you were to walk into a Healing Strong meeting in Houston, Texas, or Atlanta, Georgia, there are some very basic things about the meetings that are going to happen. And one is we're going to engage with an activity that helps you to get to know the other participants. It's very non-invasive activity, but it just gets the discussion going and allows you to connect with the people around you. You're going to get a lesson. You're going to have an educational lesson. Sometimes they'll bring in super speakers. Sometimes they're going to have PowerPoint presentations that are going to present the lesson, but you're going to get some really great information. And then you're going to be empowered and equipped. We give you resources from each of the lessons so you can go home and do your own research from, on the different topics. So we'll email that to you. We give you, you leave with a recipe, you leave with an affirmation and prayer card, and you leave with the FIA cards that I think you and Courtney talked about on one of your previous podcasts.
Yes.
And then sometimes we do book shares. I know some of our groups have brought juicers to the meeting to share if somebody wants to give juicing a try. So there are components about the meetings that really go with the heartbeat of the group leader. So the group leader has freedom to take the group and run with it in various aspects. But those three things that you can expect, you're going to expect to connect, you're going to expect to get education, and you're going to be empowered with information. Those are the same for all of our groups.
So no one needs to feel apprehensive. I think everyone needs to know that they can come in and be comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
That's wonderful. That's what people need. How are you doing today? How's your health?
It's good. I continue to learn. The people that are leading our groups are just inspiring to me personally. The latest thing for me, I'm still cancer-free. It's been 8 years this year, and I just continue to implement strategies. I'm not on a vegan diet anymore. The Gerson therapy is very restrictive, and I did most of what Gerson said. There are some things that I didn't, but extensive juicing 8 to 10 times a day, and coffee enemas 3 times a day, and supplements and a vegan diet, and so there were very specific strategies that I did for 18 months. But today, what I've learned, I put into action. I enjoy foods, but I don't enjoy them like I used to before I got sick. So, during the week, we have one day a week that is our junk food day, and our family enjoys Junk Food Friday, which is usually pizza. Mm-hmm. But we definitely have learned from my cancer and the experience of healing, and we implement those. I'm right now doing getting the mercury out of my mouth. That's a big deal for me, and that's something I learned after my own healing. So I hate the dentist. Hate going to the dentist, but I believe so much that maybe some of my tremors might be from the mercury. That's so much of it that's still left in my mouth. So We're working on that, and I'm just learning. I love to learn, and I love to just see what these groups are teaching and encouraging with their participants. So it's just been a fantastic experience.
Right. And you think if you never would have gotten cancer, you wouldn't have made these connections and learned all this and accomplished so much and created this wonderful network to help people. So I guess there's a blessing in everything.
Absolutely. There's a verse in Proverbs that says, "Wisdom is the principal thing. Therefore get wisdom. And with all thy getting, get understanding." And our groups are helping people understand the principles that we know contribute to healing. And I'm so grateful for that, Debbie, because, what we are learning in the research and through the experience of people, the testimonies that come out of these group meetings, it's powerful. Stage 4 colon cancer. We've got one group leader that has had pancreatic cancer, stage 4. She's like 17 years out now.
Wow, really?
Yes, really.
That's
really,
amazing.
Yeah, it's pretty
that
cool.
Gives hope.
It is.
I think when you really feel like you're connected and there's hope, I mean, those stories are so wonderful. Then people feel like they're not just a victim of their genetics, that they actually can affect their own health.
That's right. I know that was the way for me, because all these people in my family who had contracted cancer, and I thought, well, that's just the way it was going to be. I told my husband early on in our marriage, I'll probably end up getting cancer. And even just saying that now, I just cringe even thinking, that my mind sat there. We don't need that.
The mind is so
that is
powerful
not the
that
abundant
it goes
life.
where it sits, right?
That's right.
Wow. So as you learn things, do you add things to your group instruction? Do you pass lessons on to the groups?
We do. We have a share. So all of our group leaders, once they get their curriculum and their leaders kit that has, their business cards and, all of the resources that they can provide at their meetings, we also have a shared filing system. And I know this is so helpful because our leaders can provide us with content and information too that they've, maybe offered at, one of our lessons, then we will upload that to the shared filing system.
Oh, that's really neat.
Yeah. We have professionals that are doing PowerPoint presentations right now. So we'll have several different PowerPoint presentations for all of the group leader meetings. But we've really just tried to take the guesswork out of running a group. We know everyone's busy, and people that are doing our groups are usually pretty busy people. They're committed, right, and they want to help, and so they're givers. And so we've really just tried to, minimize the extra work that they would have to do and create just a structure that will make it easy. And we do care to we actually print out our curriculum. And so at any point we can go in there and update links or, do those updates before we do the next round of print. So that was very important to us when we were creating the curriculum.
That's wonderful. Very progressive. Really awesome stuff.
Thank you.
So if people can't find a meeting in their area, is there a way they can Skype into one or get connected?
Yeah, we some of our groups, I kind of have mixed feelings about this because there's lots of online group meetings that are going on, right? Mm-hmm. But some of our group leaders have chosen to do Facebook Live, and that's fine. So we have people that are Skyping in to maybe some of the Facebook Live meetings. One of our group leaders is a physician, a medical doctor in the Atlanta area. And he's one of the ones that has done some Facebook Live. And so we just, if that's where their heart is and they want to share it that way, then, somebody out there is going to benefit from it. But the power of the Healing Strong group comes when you come into the group.
Yeah, I understand.
That's when the connections are hands-on. It's different. It's just different.
Right,
and so we
that
hope
human
that people
connection.
will,
right.
Yeah, that they don't, just because it's, convenient to sit in their, in their bedroom or office and watch a Healing Strong group meeting, they're going to be missing the real power of meeting the people and hearing their stories and, and being there. We feed off of each other, and it's just so encouraging. Like I said, a woman walking in a cane and walking out completely transformed in 2 hours.
That's amazing.
I don't think that would have happened had she just sat there, in her home and watched the meeting.
Absolutely. So I hope then that your groups grow then and continue so they're available in every state, and you said you're in other countries too, so that's really amazing.
Thank you.
There's a need for it, as you said. It's 1 in 2 people now, so as the need grows, I'm sure the groups will grow.
I think so. We're really excited. I mean, it's when people find out about the Healing Strong group, they we're getting a lot of inquiries about how to start a group and those that want to participate in them. We just need more leaders, though. I'm just telling you, Debbie, we get a lot of inquiries because we're only in 24 states. Well, and only 4 continents, and we really want to be in every city, every state, and every country around the world. We'd love to see these groups there. So we've got a lot of work to do. There's great need out there. So
there really is.
We need more group leaders. If you're listening and you're wondering, we need more group leaders. Yeah. Debbie, you could run a group.
I know. I'm sitting here thinking about it.
I think it would be great. I
love to learn, too. There's so much to learn, and the body is so complex, but it's fascinating, and the emotional component's really interesting, too. So there is so much to learn, and you get excited when you learn things. You want to share them, and then when people start having victories, then that's very inspirational, and it makes you want to keep sharing. So
right. That's right.
Yeah, that's why we're doing the podcast, so people can find your groups and learn more, and I bet some of those people then want to share too.
I love it. Well, we appreciate you guys making this, available and asking us to be a part of, the information that you guys share. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Well, this has been wonderful, and people again can find you on the web at healingstrong.com and also on Facebook.
Right, healingstrong.org. I think you can get to it at .com too, but healingstrong.org. Go on there. You can watch a short video. It'll kind of show just the heart of us. And then if you're interested in starting a group, you would click the button Find a Group, and it'll bring up a map. And you can move that map around, and you can look, are there any groups in my area, or close to me? We just encourage get connected if they're anywhere close. And it doesn't matter if there's a group in your city. Like Atlanta, we have 8 going on in the Atlanta area right now. So, we hope that happens in all of the greater, metro areas around the United States. And, that all of the, we have rural areas. One of my favorite stories is one of the group leaders in Sprakers, New York. She's a senior woman. I just adore her. Name is Jane. She's one of our test group leaders. And I think you can, Natural Awakenings magazine did a story on Jane this last quarter when they were talking about cancer patients. So anyway, her story is pretty cool, but she actually goes and picks up the Amish people in the rural areas around her. Some of her Amish friends will come, and they all sit around and, they do their group meetings, and just a very intimate group of friends that are learning, natural strategies. And she's just impacting her little town right there in a small rural community in New York. And we have people in South Australia, Nairn, Australia. She's going strong, and I learned so much from her. She's just an incredible woman. Her and her husband are retired, and she's been through her own healing journey, and this is something she really felt the Lord just tugging on her heart to do. And there's just really great people that are leading these groups that have tremendous stories of hope, and their hearts are just to share and encourage people in their own journey. So, go online and move that map around and see if there's somebody close to you. And if not, and you want to start a group, we would love to help you get started. Okay, that's wonderful. And thank you so much for having the strength and inspiration to make all this happen. Well, thank you. It's just been such a joy for me, and I appreciate, again, you guys just helping us get the word out and sharing with all of your listeners and all of your cancer coaches and people that you have influence over. Thank you so much for including Healing Strong in your message.
Okay, you're welcome. Yeah, it's an honor. We're like-minded and getting the message out together, so it's really a great thing. Well, thank you so much for being with us then.
All right. Well, Debbie, thank you. Anytime. We can always share more. So thank you again so much. And,
great. Okay. Have a great day.
Thank you so much for joining us on the Beat Cancer Answer. If you learned just one thing today about how to prevent, cope with, or beat cancer, then we have succeeded in our mission. For more information or assistance, visit our website at BeatCancer.Org. Remember to sign up for our educational email series and get your free gift. Join in the conversation on Facebook, Twitter, or Google+, where you can meet others who think just like you. We appreciate all of your feedback and love your suggestions. Please also remember to rate us on iTunes. Your positive ratings help us to get discovered so we can save more lives. Thank you again for listening, and best wishes for good health from all of us at BeatCancer.Org.